You say so. Well, let's just get into it. So, you ready?
Ready when you are, man. Let's run it.
Ready, Freddy?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unracked podcast. We're helping gym rats of all levels to enhance their fitness and other aspects of their lives through conversation and firsthand experiences. We're your hosts. I'm Mike Gersh.
And I'm Josh Angel.
In the last episode, we debunked some fitness myths and misconceptions. And in today's episode, we're going to be channeling our inner Joey Swoles and going over gym etiquette. So, Josh, this is a big one. It doesn't matter what level of fitness you're in, gym etiquette is something that applies to everyone, and nobody is better than anybody else in the gym. We're all going for the same reason to get better. Do you,
Except Paul Lemner. He's better.
but he's also stronger and smarter and better.
Yeah.
Do you have any, should I call it, like, do you have any, like, gym etiquette pet peeves that you want to get us kicked off with?
So you want me to tell you what really grinds my gears?
What really grinds your gears?
Man. I think what really grinds my gears the most is probably would be just mind like people in the way, like of walkways. Like where people usually walk, like I don't really like when people take up like walkways, and they start working out on those walkways. Like let's say for example, like in front of the dumbbell racks. Like I think my biggest pet peeve is if someone doing the bent over rows, but they're doing it right at the rack. Like come on, like I'm trying to get the weight that you're holding on to, but like you're in the way.
And it's always over like the one set of dumbbells that you need.
Yeah, exactly. Or
So
people do like lateral raises too, and they do it right in front of the dumbbell, in front of the rack where they can like back up.
I feel like shrugs is another one too, because it's like I get it. You don't want to walk too far from the rack because those are typically exercise, not lateral raises, but like the dumbbell row and shrugs. Like those are typically exercises where you're going to be able to do a little bit more weight. So like I understand not wanting to like walk too far from the rack, but at the same time, A, you're in people's way. Everyone is there to work out, so you're blocking people and inhibiting them from working out. But B, you shouldn't even be picking weight that's going to be like a struggle for you to farmer's walk over to a bench. So like just lower the weight and bring it over to a bench. It's a very simple fix.
Yeah, exactly. Like even the shrugs, like you can just take it to a bench. Uh, Maybe you won't be able to like keep switching the dumbbells around, but at least you don't have to keep being in front of the dumbbell rack all the time. So that's probably my biggest pet peeve. But what about you, Mike?
uh, my biggest pet peeve when it comes to gym etiquette, and this is someone I know we've talked about him on the podcast before. Josh, you remember my LA Fitness rival,
That guy's just a
the
big
the
walking pet peeve.
the older guy. He's like
Yeah, no, he's
the
a walking pet peeve, dude.
he's like the spitting image of like everything not to do in the gym etiquette wise. So like if you ever saw this guy, you would just do the opposite and you would be completely golden. So I think the thing that he did that pissed me off the most, he had a very big gym bag and he would always leave it by like a machine or a bench or a platform, but he would just disappear. Like I don't know where this guy was. I don't know if he was working out over there. I don't know if he was taking a shit. Like he could
They
have been
would literally
fucking
be
anywhere.
they would be across the gym, dude. Literally.
Yeah, and it would always be like right on the machine or like the bench or whatever it was that I needed to use next. I'm sure it happened other times, but it only affected me when I needed to use that piece of equipment next. And I would always, always, always just assume like this guy's nowhere to be found. I can use this for like a set or whatever, but I'm not going to move other people's stuff. You know what I mean? So I would always kind of just like hover around it. And I always know if I were to start using the piece of equipment, that's when he would come back. But if I would just stand around and wait for him to come back to ask if I could work in, he would never come back. So it was always that like catch 22 of like, how do I handle this? And I do remember there was one time I asked him if he was on a bench because he did the same thing. his bag was by the bench, but he was over on the other side of the gym doing some exercise on the cable machine. And when he came back, I asked him if I could use that bench or whatever it was. And he like got attitude with me. He was like, "Can't you see I'm still using that? Like my bag is right there." Like blah blah blah. Like went off on me, and I was like, "Bro, like
Yeah.
I don't have time for your nonsense right now. Like either let me use the equipment or not." Like, and obviously conflict wise, like I'm never gonna get like uppity with another person. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't getting in this guy's face at all, but he just kept getting like louder and louder and like kind of escalating. But I've seen like I'm sure you've seen this like people legit get in fights at the gym, and that's one of the most egregious things I've ever seen.
Yeah, we have that recording of that at our gym actually of that fight that went out, dude.
Well, did Leo take that video or did someone send it to
No,
him?
it was like a friend. It was a
Oh,
friend.
okay.
Yeah, that sent
I
it to
feel
him,
like
and then he.
If Leo was there, he would have been jumping in. He doesn't know either of
Nah,
the two
nah, nah, nah.
guys,
He
but
has
he'd be
no.
jumping in.
No, he has no reason to jump in. He would be recording too, because that fight, a fight like that, you really have no reason to jump in unless that's your homie, you know?
I mean, they have no reason to fight in the first place. There's I
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
I'm a firm advocate that there are
Firm.
very few reasons in life in general that violence is the direction you need to take something. But like especially in the gym, I literally can think of probably like less than 5 reasons why it should ever go that direction. So conflict wise, it never needs to get there. There's nothing serious enough that's going to happen in the gym for you to ever need to take it there. Unless it's like something related outside of the gym, then that's like keep your shit out there. I'm not trying to deal with it while I'm doing my set.
Facts, dude. But that's just like a really rare thing to even see happen. Like you see people argue, like at the gym, but nothing to where they're actually throwing hands. Like as besides seeing it in video, I've never seen it in person. Like someone just throwing some hands in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I've
So
seen people, and you were there. You pointed it out this day. I've seen people like get loud with another person, but I've never like actually witnessed someone, like you said, like actually square up and fight. But again, I don't really feel like it ever needs to come to that
yeah, yeah, no facts, dude. So we're off to a good start right now.
for sure. So I think those are two good rules. Don't fight in the
Mm-hmm.
gym. And what was yours, Josh? I already forgot.
don't be in front of the dumbbells. Don't be.
Yeah, don't fight in the gym and don't just stand in front of the dumbbell rack. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I think just in general, no matter what, private gym or commercial gym, I feel like a pretty common one as well is going to be racking your weights. Um, I feel like a lot of gyms will like usually more of a commercial gym. I feel like at a private gym, people are a little bit more respectful of the equipment, if that makes sense. Like I feel like at zoo, like I never really have to walk over unracked weights. Like the dumbbells are always where they're supposed to be and things like that. When we went to LA Fitness, when we would go there first thing in the morning, like I have videos on my phone, it would literally look like Hurricane Katrina. Like
Yeah,
just
that shit was a
went through
mess,
LA
dude.
Fitness. Like there was 45 plates everywhere, dumbbells all over the place. Like there were days where I remember I would take a video like just all the way down the dumbbell rack, and there was what? There was everything from like multiple sets of fives all the way up to like hundreds, 110s, whatever. So that's a lot of fucking dumbbells. There was days that we would get there and there would be like 4 total dumbbells on the rack. Like not exaggerating, a total of 4 dumbbells of a dumbbell. There had to be at least what like 60 to
I
70 dumbbells on there.
I think the worst part about that is like there will be times where someone will be looking for a they'll have like 130 that's actually a rack on the rack, but they're looking for the pair. So there'll be I seen times where people they literally walk across the whole gym trying to look for that other pair, but they can't find it sometimes,
Yeah, there was
which
days
is
I
kind of
got my
crazy.
cardio in just looking for the second dumbbell. And it was
Yeah,
always like um It was always an exercise like an overhead press, right? Where you don't want to take too big of jumps, so you only want to go up like the next 5 pound dumbbell, but you can't find the other one. So it puts you again in that like catch 22. Should I just stay at the lighter weight, or should I jump to the next 10 pound dumbbell and maybe not be able to do it for as many or not keep my form as stable, whatever it is. So again, it kind of puts you in that weird spot. And I do remember times too at LA Fitness. I feel like LA Fitness was the only gym where like the re-racking of the weights was like really bad.
This is every commercial gym, dude. Because at 24, it was like that too, really bad.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you obviously
Yeah,
went to 24 more than I did, so I don't think I really just didn't really experience it much, but like this was something that I would say happened at pretty much every gym or every commercial gym that I've been to is on the platforms, they wouldn't re-rack like if they squatted. Like there was a lot of times where I would come into the gym and there would be like 225, 275, 315 like just on the bar. And I'm like, damn, now I have to unrack this person's weight, assuming I'm doing the same exercise as the bar on the squat rack and I'm deadlifting or vice versa, whatever it may be, right? So it's just like extra unnecessary work that like I didn't
dude.
want to have
You
to
know
do
what's
that
the
it was
worst
someone
one that I
else's responsibility. What's up?
Do you know what's the worst one that I seen? And I seen it both at LA Fitness and 24, where someone would actually leave like a fully loaded plate of like 4 or 5 on the floor, like they're deadlifting, and they just leave straight up 4 or 5 on the bar, dude. And I seen it both at 24 and LA Fitness.
I
And every time
still
it's like the last one because no one wants to go on there because everybody's like going to the other racks, and then they'll finally the last person will be like, ah, okay, I gotta deal with unracking all of that, and you just feel bad for that person.
well, I don't get how someone does that and like especially use you and I for an example, right? We've been going to the gym long enough where we're stronger than the average person, right?
And better.
Especially and smarter and better, right? Um, but like especially at a commercial gym, it's the kind of thing where like someone's mom or someone's fucking grandma or something, you know what I mean, works out at this gym. It's not like at zoo where everybody is a fucking juice head or a power lifter. Like rack your weights, like clean up your shit behind you. Like that's going to be the difference between someone deciding if they want to use that machine or not because you left 405 pounds on that bar. That person's not going to be able to even like clean that weight up for you even if they wanted to. So now they have to go do something else.
Yeah. No,
Lazy
I've
fuck.
actually helped an old lady one time because it was on the leg press. Like they had a bunch of plates on there, especially the leg press. People would be leaving that shit on there, and someone left I think either like 6 plates on both sides or something crazy. And the lady was trying to. I felt bad because I was right next to her, and I started helping her because she was trying to like put the plates down. And then like an old lady like that can only do like one maybe max.
Yeah,
I don't remember what
exactly.
she did. It was a long time ago too. But like typically an old lady is gonna probably do one max or 25. You know.
Yeah, unless she's a fucking beast. But that is
Yeah.
okay. That's actually one thing. Kind of leads into a question of potentially. I don't think it's controversial, but it's like a topic worth discussing. Um, I
Whoa,
feel
whoa,
like
whoa,
I've.
whoa. We're gonna get demonetized.
Are we monetized in the first place?
No.
So, no, it's not controversial at all, but it's just like I guess it's a preference thing because I know what my preference is, but like let's use the leg press for example. When someone else unracks it and you go onto the leg press machine, do you prefer when the person before you unracks the weights and puts them onto the weight tree or leans it against the weight tree? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh, I actually like it if it's at LA because they have the either or. I actually don't mind because they have the handles. But if we're talking about zoo, where it's just like the straight like old school like plate, it's kind of better to have it on the floor because it's kind of hard to put your fingers between the between like I guess the crack and like pull it out.
Hey yo.
So it's kind of better to have it on the floor. So some situations it's okay to have it off and on.
I could hear you like trying not to laugh as you said that.
Yeah, the crack. Because I'm trying to like describe it. Like, how else would you describe it? Because if you put it on the tree, it's kind of hard to put your fingers between the plates. I guess I could say it like that.
No, yeah, no, I knew
Yeah,
exactly what you were saying. I literally brought this
yeah,
topic up, so I knew what you were saying. But like, I'm just laughing because I could tell you were trying to hold back laughter as you were making a serious comment. But
yeah.
no, I agree with that generally, especially if it's something like the leg press, for example. Like if you're squatting, like when I was working out for aesthetics, there was days where I wouldn't even put like two plates on. Like I would just go up to maybe 185. So I would just like rep it out, right? So I didn't mind having to just like take one plate off the tree and it was fine, right? But for something like leg press where there I think at my highest, I think I did like I don't want to over exaggerate and like overhype myself, but I think I did like 7 plates on each side
Hmm.
for like 5 reps. And that shit took forever to fucking unrack. So that was the kind of thing that as I was unracking, I wasn't like putting it all the way onto the tree. I would put like a couple on and then like the outside ones I would leave off. So it's like it's easier to just grab it, especially like you said when they have like the handle on the outside. It would be much easier to grab it and just toss it right on the leg press. So again, I think it's situational, but it is something I've heard people have a conversation about if they have a preference one way or another. And I always thought it was funny, like the reasoning that people gave for their preference.
The purpose I have is just having a handle, dude. And I don't mind if it's anywhere as long as it has a handle. I can just grip it. You know,
Oh,
so I
for
got that
sure.
gorilla
But
grip.
it's a the gorilla grip, bro. Straight forearms, baby. We already had an episode on that. But it is also different for me at zoo now because powerlifting with kilos, like you're never obviously, and I don't want kilos that have a hole in it, but like that's the point of it is to be like super calibrated, right? So that's something that at zoo lifting with kilos, like I'm always going to be like having to grip the outside. So it's something that I always want. I actually like how they have it set up because the red kilos are in a spot where it's like easy for me to slide it off the tree, but it's already in like a pretty stable position. You know what I mean? So it's a good setup.
I
I
don't know
wouldn't
what you
want
mean.
anyone to lean it on the side there. But
Yeah,
all right. Josh, do you get sweaty when you work out?
of course. Dude, I'm putting in that work, baby.
So when you get
I'm putting in
sweaty,
that work.
when
You
you
know,
get
I'm lifting
sweaty and
heavy.
when you get when you get sweaty and you get up off the bench and you leave a bunch of sweat marks, do you wipe down your equipment after you use it?
Of course, because I'm not a sick bastard, dude.
I'm happy
I,
to
I
hear
wipe
that.
I wipe everything, dude, because I do feel bad for the next person if they gotta like sit on the see all my sweat and clean it off
Dude,
for me.
I've had scenarios like that where I feel like for the most part, if you take a piece of equipment right after someone, like if the person knows you're waiting for it, 99 times out of 100 I've been times that I've been in that scenario, I feel like the person has asked me, "Do you want me to clean it off?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, obviously." But I feel like there are times where like I've just walked up to a piece of equipment, like about to sit down on it or lay down on it, whatever I'm gonna do, and I notice there's a huge sweat stain. I'm like, that is disgusting. Like I
Mhm.
hate when people don't wipe off their equipment. Like if it's I get it. If it's your first set and you still have your hoodie on, like your pump cover, whatever, you didn't like leave anything on the
You got
bench.
that protection, dude.
I don't practice safe sets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
you got
like
that
again,
protection.
if you do something where you don't leave a mark, like whatever, I don't care, but I don't want to be like rubbing my open skin on someone else's sweat mark. Like that shit is nasty to me. I don't want anything to do with that.
I've had times where people actually didn't mind me not wiping it down because I have asked that before.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I don't care what the reason. 100 times out of 100, bro. That's weird.
And they said, yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay,
What
I
were
guess
they
you
like
want me for
sniffing the bench after you or something, bro? You got a
yeah,
couple
they're
gym crushes?
yeah, exactly, because they're admiring, the aesthetics and all that stuff. So I don't blame them because maybe they like hope that my aesthetics and muscle, you know, wipes on them and they grow more muscle, faster. But it's just a it's just a dream for them.
Is this a natural way to build muscle, or would you consider it enhanced?
Definitely enhanced because I'm definitely not natty.
Bro, you're
So
so natty it hurts.
like the trend that sweats, that comes out of my pores, it goes onto their pores, and then they're eventually not natty too. So that's the science behind this.
I'm just gonna throw it out to anyone who's listened for this long. Josh is natural, he's just trolling.
Hmm. I'm just trolling.
All right, cool. Um, well, I guess kind of goes into another thing I wanted to talk about. I think a big thing is locker room etiquette. So I know I made the joke that we're channeling our inner Joey Swole. Um, I kind of want to talk about the other side of that. I do 100% agree with him. Like, make sure if you're filming and someone's in the background, like, especially in the locker room, like, that's a very private area. Like, either make sure it's okay or move to a spot where they're not in the background. But I want to talk about the other side of it. Not
The bathroom
necessarily
side.
like you filming, but like I want to talk about that person in the background. I don't need to see some old dude's saggy fucking balls every time I go into a commercial gym locker room. Why do people think that it's a 1950s high school football locker room? It makes no sense to me. What are your thoughts, Josh? Are you a fan of that?
Yo, I thought you were a fan about that.
No, dude.
Honestly,
Did I tell you
because
there was
you're
there?
always taking a shower before in the locker room, so I thought you liked it.
No, so I used to shower at Gold's a lot, but it was a pretty much younger population at Gold's because it was right on the CSUN campus. So it was typically like college age people or like young professionals like myself. When we went to LA Fitness, I can't make this up, dude. And this image is ingrained in my brain. Like I can't unsee this. You know how some locker rooms they have like the hair dryers that are just like attached to the wall that it's like free for anyone to use.
Hmm.
I saw an old guy clearly just showered, like all he had on was his towel. He has the hair dryer pointed straight up the towel, like
Hmm.
just straight like drying off his ball sack.
Hmm.
In what world is that like being respectful and courteous to communal equipment? I don't know a better word for equipment than, but you know what I mean. Like, what is this guy thinking? Like, someone's gonna dry their head with his ball sack now? The fuck, bro?
Yeah, and now they gotta push that button too, where he just like probably touch the sack and then touch the hand button too. And no, it's just yeah, I've seen it a few times actually, and I don't know, it's just super common for people to do that shit, which is kind of crazy to me. And it's just like right and open, dude. It's like just no privacy. Like everybody can see it, dude.
No,
So
yeah,
that's the
like
worst one.
there's times where I've showered at the gym and like for point 0.1 seconds, like super quick, like I'm just like dropping the towel and put my underwear on.
Oh,
But
you
like
dropped the towel?
but no, not usually, but I'm saying there at the most it's like point 0.1 seconds. And I'm also knowing what I'm about to do, I'm not going to face anybody. You know what I mean? So it's the kind of thing where I understand like, oh, it happens like super quick sometimes. I'm talking about the guys who are like parading it. You know what I mean? They're just walking around like swinging side to side. And um I've heard from like girls and women, whatever, like there's like a lot of like old ladies who are just like saggy tits hanging out too. Like
Yeah, I
it's
heard
no
that
different
too.
on the other
It,
side, bro.
yeah, I heard that too. Hey, you know what? You know what I actually just saw on my last rest day because I went to LA Fitness and I go there to do cardio.
Hmm.
I can't even deal with trying to work out there. But I went to go do cardio, and so in front of me is like the whole walkway where people walk between, like to the front door. And I saw all, and then on the other side there's a locker room for the men's and women's. So I saw a man come out of there, and he was straight up just in his underwear, an old man, like
Like
legit.
in
I
the
know
middle
for
of the
sure.
gym.
Yeah, little, and then that walkway is literally the middle of the gym, bro. So just imagine someone coming out of the locker room, walking. I don't even know where he went because I didn't even want to look at him. But cause he walked right in front of me too, because like my
Oh
cardio
yeah,
machine is like my cardio treadmill is like facing the walkway in the middle
yeah.
of
So you almost
everything.
have no choice.
Yeah, and then the other side, people can see towards the other side in the middle too. So everybody's focusing on that middle part on the walkway. So that guy just walks in the walkway across the building in his underwear, and then he goes back afterwards. Like a few moments later, he goes back back to the locker room, and I was like, dude, that was horrible. And it wasn't the yeah. It's just like some boxer briefs that he was just like walking there, and he had his T-shirt. Yeah, it's
It's
like
a
it was his bedroom, dude. It's like, oh, it's my bedroom. I'm just gonna walk out of my bedroom in my underwears and T-shirt to go to the bathroom.
it's just wild to me how comfortable some of these people feel in these scenarios.
Yeah.
Like I don't
That
know.
was that was really bad too because it's I can kind of forgive the locker room, but like the walkway is like, dude, everybody can see you. Like there could be kids there too, you know, because like there's teenagers that go to the gym too. So and then like anybody can see you.
No, yeah, like in the locker room, like I don't want to see it. Very,
Yeah, I
I'll be
definitely don't want to see
very
it.
clear and blunt about that. I don't want to see it, but if it's gonna be anywhere, at least I know it's gonna be in the locker room, so it's like I can like prepare myself or like just look the other way. But if there's some dude just like parading around the gym just in his fucking underwear, like that's that like someone they should have told somebody at the front desk. Like someone at the front desk should have done something about that. Like that's crazy to me. But that's
Yeah,
also
yeah,
another thing that's
exactly.
crazy is like some of these gyms like they probably aren't paying the employees that much. So if you're not getting paid that much, you're probably not going to care that much.
Well, it's
So
definitely minimum wage, bare minimum.
no, exactly. I mean, back in the day,
Yeah.
bro, I used to work at a gym, and it was like I probably profited more just from the fact that I got a free membership over like the amount of money that I was making. Like this was like way back in the day, bro, in Massachusetts. I want to say 2013, 14, bro. Minimum wage was like 8.25 an hour. Like
Mhm.
how much do you really think I was making? Like I literally was just chilling at the front desk. Every once in a while I would go in the back and like re-rack weights. It was a chill ass job. Like there was never anything for me to like super have to care about. Literally, the only thing that they cared about that they wanted me, other than like racking weights, that they cared about was like making sure nobody snuck in. Because what a lot of
Mhm.
people would do is they would like double scan a tag. So the first
I feel,
person would scan a random barcode and it would scan, it just wouldn't pull anything. But the second person would actually have a membership and they would scan
mm,
their barcode like before the person would see that the first one came up as an error. So I
yeah.
think gym etiquette, just pay for your fucking membership.
Hmm. I think that's like the main job of the front desk, is to make sure no one else that doesn't have a membership goes in.
Well, the other thing, and this was one thing I was actually going to ask you about as we were talking about the locker room. Another thing that this gym that I worked at cared a lot about, and I witnessed it with my eyeballs multiple times, was fucking dudes shooting needles in the bathroom, like just
Mm,
juicing and shit. Like there was
yeah.
multiple times where I would walk in and a guy would be like fucking like just the top of his ass was out. He's fucking poking a needle in his ass. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, yeah, that's horrible, dude. Not at the gym. That's straight up like an old school gym. You definitely don't see that at a commercial gym.
It
But
was a
yeah, that's
commercial
taken.
gym.
It could have been, yeah, but I mean that's pretty bad, dude. That's really bad. I guess the sad part too is like they couldn't even go to like the bathroom stall to do that. They had to be right in the open to do that.
6 feet away from the bathroom stall, but they do it in the middle of the locker room instead.
Yeah, they just give no shits, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, that's too far. Where are you gonna toss the needle? Even if like they're prescribed that, like where are you gonna toss the needle? There's no sharps container there, so it's like dangerous too.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
especially for me as the gym employee, like, how am I supposed to know if something like that is in there and I'm gonna like change the trash bag or something and a fucking like used syringe is gonna tear through the bag and like poke me or some shit? Like, hell
damn,
no.
bro. You just got AIDS.
Oh god. Call him Magic Johnson. How'd he do it?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, that would be horrible though, man.
all right, what's another one? You got another one or no?
Uh,
I got so
no,
many
just
more.
well with the bathroom. Yeah, there's just so much you can do. Like of course, like cover yourself up if you have to really change. Because yeah, there are people that are really busy, but like you could change, you can cover yourself up and change at the same time. It's not impossible. You know, can't just have it hanging out. And then also, I kind of want to go back to that old dude that we were talking about, that walking pet peeve. Uh, I wanted to talk about like how the gym bag was too big and it was super unnecessary. You know, like also maybe if you're bringing too much shit, I think that's also bad because then it's just scattered everywhere and there's no space for people to walk through. Like that guy had like a big bag, but there was nothing inside because he will have it open and there'll be nothing inside. It was like too big for like what he needed.
And not only did he have a huge bag that took up a lot of space, he also he would like superset, drop set everything. So he would have every set of dumbbells or every single barbell from like 30s to 70s. So not only is he hogging the equipment where he's not even like really using it that much, he's also taking up a shit ton of space where there were times where I couldn't even work in on the bench next to him. Like I would have
Bro,
to be two benches down because he was taking up so much space.
bro's a case study.
Literally, bro,
Yeah,
just like
you know
observe
what?
this guy.
Two more points. Definitely, I would say two pairs max. It's okay to have two different pairs, but anything more than that, I think that's for sure pushing it. And then second, what he also do is like let's say he'll be standing up doing like curls. He'll just like drop the weight like from standing up. Like he won't put it down. Like I can understand slamming the weight, but like have control of it. Like he'll be dropping that thing from like his chest level. And he was actually a tall guy, so that once it bounced, it was like flying like towards the other side. So there was times where dumbbells were like that he was dropping, and that thing was like flying close to you, like it could hit somebody.
Yeah, so I'll piggyback on both of those points. If you're gonna do a drop set where you're gonna drop like 4 or 5 sets, just use a machine. It's gonna be so much easier and so much more efficient, and you're just gonna be able to like, excuse me, you're gonna be
Your
able to
excuse.
like lower the weight like one peg at a time as opposed to like having to take 6 sets of dumbbells or like keep going back and forth getting more dumbbells. So if you're gonna drop set that much, just use cables or use a machine. And then, like Josh said, like there's a difference between. So the other night at zoo, I saw a guy dumbbell flat bench 140s. Yeah, 140s, which
Damn.
is, yeah, fucking crazy, right? Fucking super heavy too. And so when he's like letting go of the weight, he's controlling it but dropping it at the same time. What Josh is saying this guy does, he has like 25s, bro. There's no need for him to drop the weight at all. But he's not even dropping it. He's like throwing it at the ground. He's like fucking Gronk spiking it. And then the
It's
shit
like
just
pretty
like
much bouncing
bounces
like a
up and
ball.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like a dumbbell is like a weird shape, so it bounces like irregularly. Like think of like a football. You know what I mean? You're not really going to be able to predict where it's going to bounce. So it's the same idea as him throwing the dumbbells on the ground. There were times, and I didn't want it to happen, but it came very close to happening, and it was almost like one of those like I wish it would type moments. But there were times where he like spiked the weight on the ground, and I saw it coming towards me, and I was like, I'm not moving my foot. Like if this thing hits me, it hits me.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it go really close to a few people, and I would say, it's also kind of a hassle to have a bunch of pairs around you too. Because I do it at zoo, but at zoo there's like no one else. Like today, for example, it was just me and Mike for like a good hour or two at zoo. So I could literally have 3 stacks of dumbbells, but then, dude, I feel like I can't even move around. It's like too much clutter for even 3 pairs. So I think I definitely agree with like um, having cables or doing it at a machine, but just to, have more space for yourself. But yeah,
Uh,
that guy was just a bad case study.
yeah, and there's everything that we're talking about, I would say for the most part, everything is very situational, and there's always, always, always going to be an exception to the rule. So, like today, to Josh's point, like anyone who follows the podcast Instagram, you saw what we posted on our story. There's literally nobody else in the gym but me and Josh and the fucking employee. So that's the kind of thing. If Josh wants to take 3 sets of dumbbells, or if Josh wants to stand right in front of the dumbbell rack while he does shrugs, that's situationally okay because we go to a private gym. So it's almost like this sounds like exaggerated or like aggressive to say, but it's like we pay for the privilege to be able to, I don't want to say work out with less etiquette, but there's less etiquette that we have to worry about being in a less busy gym, especially like,
I mean,
yeah.
it could be definitely situational because, like, let's say you had your own home gym, like, you could toss all this shit out the door because, like, you're the only one that's have to deal with it. You can not rack your shit. You can keep your bench sweaty if you really wanted to, not wipe anything down. Like, if you had your own home gym, I mean, you don't have to do any of this that we're talking about right now.
No, but that again, that's my point is like
It just depends. Yeah.
situationally, us going to a private gym, there's less etiquette that we have to worry about compared to a commercial gym. Like, I'm still going to wipe down a bench after I use it, especially if it gets sweaty, whether there's someone there waiting for the bench or not. But
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing where using the examples of like the dumbbells, we have a little more leeway to grab a couple pairs of dumbbells or superset multiple machines that may not be right next to each other. But on the other side of that, on the nights, like when I work out at night and there's a lot of people there, I have to work out different than when I work out in the morning when there's nobody there. So again, it's all situational and there's always going to be an exception to the rule. But
Hmm.
I would say similar idea to re-racking the weights and kind of cleaning up after yourself. This is one that's probably going to be more relevant to us than someone that goes to a commercial gym. But and I don't deal with this too much because and I'll explain why in a minute, but always clean the chalk off your bar. If you use chalk, even if you use liquid chalk and only a little bit gets on the bar, always, always, always clean it off. Nobody wants to use your dried up chalk. I feel like, so I have a coach who has a bar at our gym, so I use his bar, but I'll give you both sides of that. For me, I try extra hard to make sure that I remember to clean all the chalk and everything off because I know that my coach is probably coming at night, most likely going to be using his bar. So I don't want him to be like fuck, like Mike left my bar dirty again. Like I don't want him using my bar. Like I want to have the privilege of continuing to be able to use the bar because I respect it and take care of it. On the other side of that, I don't know if this is something that you've noticed, Josh, because you use the bars more often. I feel like being that Zoo has the chalk readily available, I feel like I come into the gym and see a lot of bars that still have chalk, like from like most, it would most commonly be like deadlifting, I would say. Would you agree with that? Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The regular bars have chalk on them because it's not, not it's anybody can use them. So they're just like, and then like you said, the chalk's more available, so everybody can, and they don't mind you bringing your own chalk. So people are just bringing like tubs of chalk too, and yeah, they're just they don't really clean up after themselves on the bar, but I think I saw more more of it at like a commercial gym if people were actually like deadlifting and powerlifting. They were definitely having more chalk on those bars for sure. And I hope that you're disinfecting coach's bar too, because I'm sure you're having some sweaty hands. So I hope you're spraying it down, giving like a nice Febreze on there too for him.
Oh yeah, bro. Nah, I typically use at least a layer of liquid chalk on my hands so that kind of like dries up any moisture. But with that same idea in mind, when we used to go to the commercial gyms, that was something that for whatever reason, don't ask me why I did this, don't ask me what gave me the idea to do this. I thought it was just like an extra layer of grip, but what I would do is I would liquid chalk onto my hands, and then I would put more liquid chalk on my hands and I would rub it on the bar where I was about to grip it to deadlift it. And so
Oh my
like
god, Mike,
but again, the point of what I'm trying to convey here, the point I'm trying to convey here is
you were that guy.
I put a lot of chalk on the bar and I realized that the person who was going to use this bar after me probably wasn't going to want that much or any chalk on the bar. So I would always make it a point as I was unracking the weights, I would also make it a point to clean up and disinfect the bar when I was done because it's not like at Zoo they have the little like Brillo pad scrub thing. So it
Mhm.
wouldn't clean off as easily. So I would have to put like a little bit of elbow grease into it. But it was the kind of thing where I always made sure to do it because similar idea to unracking the weights, there could be someone who sees that bar and they're like, "Ooh, there's all that chalk on it. Like someone didn't clean this bar after them. I don't want to use it. I'm going to go do something else." So it's like I never want the aftermath of my workout to negatively impact someone else.
No, definitely agree, dude. Yeah.
And then with that in mind, that kind of sparks another one for me. So that was more about the aftermath of my workout impacting someone else. This next one is the during someone's workout impacting someone else. This, I will say, probably again, I don't know if anyone else has ever seen this. I know Josh and I have seen this at LA Fitness. Probably going to be more common in a commercial gym than a private gym because a private gym, the music they play is usually pretty good, where like the commercial gyms play like Taylor Swift and shit. Hey, if you're into that, that gets you hyped up. Good for you. Doesn't really float my boat. But there was this group of people that used to work out in the morning when Josh, Mark, and I used to go there, and they would do these like circuit workouts like on the turf. And so first and foremost, they were taking up a lot of space and they were taking up a lot of equipment, which is fine. Again, if you're using it, just that's fine. Use it. Don't let it sit there while someone else could be using it. But they would bring like a big speaker with them. Like this wasn't just like a portable speaker, bro. This was like someone was like a DJ or something and would like bring one of those speakers and they would literally play their music. So it was obviously loud enough so they could hear it, but it was a diesel fucking speaker. So it was loud enough where I literally have noise canceling headphones and I could still hear their music over what I was listening to in my ears. And it was just one of those things where it was like I don't want to listen to your music. Your speakers or your if you can get your headphones that loud, Jesus Christ, you need to check your hearing, but I don't want to hear your speakers over my headphones.
Yeah, if someone's playing super loud music through their headphones, it's gonna be really, really hard for you to hear them unless you're not having any music playing yourself. You're just going in there with no headphones. But yeah, the speaker one was really bad because I've seen it. I know that group that you're talking about, but I seen a chick do it, and her music was loud. I know someone told I don't know who, but I know for sure someone told her like not to play it or whatever, like turn it down. Uh, but I never saw anybody go talk to that group because I'm sure because it was a group, like you're not gonna go to a lot of people are not gonna go tell a group of people for sure to take down their music. But yeah, it's really annoying, honestly, because then you hear like two different sounds between your ears, man.
No, yeah, and especially so I would say really the only time that I've ever like there's been a couple times I've either like forgot my headphones or I forgot to charge them and they were dead. So like you're kind of
Yeah, it
shit out of
happens.
luck, right? Like you have to work out with no music, whatever. But like the only time I would really like intentionally work out with no headphones was when I was when I was like on meat prep and I was getting very close to meet day and I wanted to practice with commands. So I would listen or I would like do my sets with no music so I could be able to hear whoever give me the command start, rack, press, blah blah blah, whatever it is. So it was the kind of thing where I was able to make sure that I was ready for the meet day. But like other than that, I would say 98.5% of the time I want to work out with music, listening to my own music. Cuz
Hmm.
what motivates you may not motivate me. What I listen to in the gym may be completely opposite of what you listen to. And it's the kind of thing where even if the music like I remember when I would go to Golds, the music at Golds was so loud, but I have noise canceling headphones. So it was the kind of thing that as soon as my headphones were on, it was fine. Yeah, the music was really loud when I would like vlog and stuff, but you can like reduce the background noise so it was no big deal. It's not like I was ever going to go to the front desk and be like, "Oh, do you mind turning the music down so I can hear myself on the camera?" So, again, it was the kind of thing where that group of people they weren't just playing music, they were like blasting their own music. So it was very distracting and it was just very like disrespectful in my opinion to other people. Like you probably hear this on the podcast and you're like, "Oh, that's probably not that big of a deal." Like whatever, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. But like when you're there experiencing it and not only experiencing it but experiencing it day in and day out, like to the point where I learned these people's rest day. So I was like excited to be able to not listen to their music. That's like how consistently it was happening. That's like the
I'm not
limit
gonna
I was
lie,
on.
it is pretty rare to see some people do that. I maybe seen like three different individuals do that like ever, because I feel like it's just like a common thing, like just put headphones in. And it's
Well,
not. It's probably like cheaper than buying a whole like actual good speaker like that too. Like big speaker like that, it's costs some money, dude. Especially a good one. So
well, I
it's
would
almost same price or cheaper. You get headphones.
well, I would say the speaker is like the very extreme example. I would say the most common that I've seen, and it's like again, not the biggest deal, but if it's consistent, it kind of bothers you over time. I've heard a lot of people like if you're watching on YouTube, like you can see, um, like they just have
That's
the
blurred out,
music.
bro.
Oh, it is blurred out, but they just have the music
Yeah.
like playing out of their phone, like just sitting, like their phone is on like the bench or something, and their music is just playing out of their phone, and it's like
Hmm.
I've seen that a lot more frequently than like the speaker. Obviously, the speaker is just like the very extreme example of it, but it is also the kind of thing. To your point, they can almost like bully their way into being able to do something like that because not many people want to approach a group. And back to my earlier point, that gym employee probably isn't getting paid enough to even care about it in the first place. They're like, I just want to clock in, make sure you scan your tag, and zone out for the rest of the time I'm here until it's time to clock out. That's my
Mhm.
experience with most, not all, most gym employees. I was a star employee. I'm just throwing that out there. But
Psych.
nah, bro, I set records for like the most membership signups in a month, stuff like that.
Okay, but that's like sales. That's different.
Well, that's why I work in
Yeah, I
sales
thought you
now,
mean
bro.
like you're like cleaning the equipment, re-racking the stuff. Like we're talking like two different
No,
things.
dude, they would send me in the bathroom to tell people to stop doing steroids.
Okay, did it help?
No, they kept doing steroids in the bathroom.
I
there was
guess you
this
weren't doing your job right then, man. I don't.
there was
You're
this
getting the
one
sales in it, but you
there
couldn't
was this
stop people doing steroids.
There's this one guy named Kareem, bro. I never understood why until now I understand why, but he would always wear a tank top and his upper body was ginormous, fucking massive, but then he would always wear baggy sweatpants. And I would never understand why. He would bench press 4 times a week. He would rep out 405 on bench. And then one day, I don't know when it clicked in my head, like it wasn't until like years later of like knowing him. I was just like, this dude is blasting steroids and hasn't lifted legs in 3 years. Like, there's no other. He had like a Johnny Bravo physique. You know what I mean?
Nice. That's a good physique.
Hoo ha hoo.
Goals right there, dude. All right, let's get to the last point right here, so we can fire end off with a fire point right here, because I know this is a big one too with our our generation and our like age technology, right, Mike?
Fucking boomers.
This is what's keeping Joey Swole like this is pretty much all he does essentially. Because I mean, it's just technology nowadays. You know, it's like a big trend now to like I don't know why it's like a trend, but like to make fun of people in the background. Like that is pretty bad. Or people would also record. Well, like you know how we're talking about like recording in the locker room. Like somehow, dude, this is like the craziest one. Is like people will actually put them like butt naked on the internet.
Dude,
Like
I would
that's
delete
pretty
that
insane.
video so fast. If I ever
Yeah,
recorded and that's I actually that has happened to me and I literally I'm like it stresses me out. I'm like turn it off and delete.
yeah. Like unless I don't know, like it would have to be. I would have to do a perfect pose that I know I could not replicate, and I would have to blur out the background if
No,
that happened
nothing
to
is
me.
worth it. Nothing is worth it, bro.
I would blur it out, dude. The background. I'll crop myself out, dude.
Unless
I'll
you
put a
get
screen screen behind me. A green screen. That would work.
what is I think it's the Google phone has like the magic eraser where you can erase
Oh
things
yeah,
out of the background, bro.
yeah,
That's like the Joey Swole app.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's an app for that on the iPhone to do that, but yeah, that one's definitely the worst one. Like you're literally putting someone butt naked like on Instagram. Like you know you wouldn't put yourself butt naked on the internet like that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to think about it is like if I was the person in the background of this video, like how would I feel about it being posted? Um, because I feel like to your point, a lot I would say it's a good split. A lot of people are using it to like point other people out and like make fun of them and almost like ostracize them. But I feel like the other half is like the Joey Swole epidemic where it was like girls would film people and there would be like a guy in the background would take like the slightest glance over and she would be
Yeah,
like, I'm so uncomfortable, I need to go to
and
talk to the front desk staff and get this guy banned forever, like all this shit. Like I remember there was one where this girl literally just starts talking shit to some guy and it's like, can I help you, you've looked over here like 6 times, and like you watch the video back and it's like, first of all, no he didn't. Second of all, you're probably gonna fuck with this guy's reputation, and all you're doing is like all you're posting this for is for likes and views.
mhm.
Like, there's no other reason for you to like. You're not spreading awareness.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, because most of them they do get a lot of views and stuff before even Joey gets to it. I mean, that's like the reason why it even gets to him in the first place because it goes viral, and then you know a bunch of people start tagging him. But by then, it's like it's probably got like close to like 500,000 views, and yeah, someone's gonna recognize you for sure. Like if that's you, unfortunately, like you did that one quick glance, but then she slows it down like 10 times speed, and it makes you look like you're looking at her for like longer than a minute. Yeah, that's gonna make you look bad.
Well, dude, it's like, and I know people have made a meme of this, but it's honestly so true. Where it's, I think, I forget exactly how it's phrased, but it's like something along the lines of, you think I'm looking at you in the gym, but I'm absolutely cracked out on caffeine and pre-workout that like I have such tunnel vision, like I can barely see in front of me. So it's
Yeah.
like that's something that I feel the tunnel vision of pre-workout. Like I know for a fact I'm super ADHD. I walk around a lot between sets. I know for a fact I've made a lot of awkward eye contact in my gym career, but it's the kind of thing I am never just like staring at someone in a creepy way or staring at them in general, but like I feel like staring at someone for the most part is in a creepy way unless I like see you from across the gym and it's like, Josh, like I need a lift off, like come help me. I'm going to
Mhm.
stare at you until you notice me. But that's obviously very different than like a random girl in the gym who's
Well, I think it's worse too in like a commercial gym because like if you're really trying to get a good workout in, like you gotta scout out your equipment. So like or dumbbells. So like that's what a thing where like someone that's kind of actually scared is like gonna be scared to even like look around for dumbbells. It's like okay, what's available, and they're like scattering around. Especially what we were talking about earlier, like dumbbells are always scattered around from like a commercial gym. So like you gotta look around. You gotta look around like a 360 view almost to see what's available. So yeah, you might glance at somebody real quick because you're looking around for a dumbbell, but you're not like trying to check her out or trying to stare at somebody forever.
exactly. And I'll use another example too. And this is one I know I've talked about on the pod. Um, People don't really give a fuck about the people around them at the gym. There's a lot of people who don't go to the gym because they're nervous that people around them are gonna like judge them or like make fun of them or whatever it is. I have a very concrete example of why I know that nobody, and this was at a busy commercial gym, nobody pays attention to what you're doing, even if you're doing something stupid. And the
Uh,
example
I already know what you're gonna say.
is when I failed the decline press, and I
Yeah.
know we've talked about this, I've had the clips on both sides, so I couldn't just dump the weight. I was literally just standing there, like waiting for the blood to rush to my head, so I passed out because crowded commercial gym. It was a Saturday morning. Like not a soul even like moved their head, like turned their head and looked at me, let alone came over to help to do something about it. I thank my lucky stars every day that Josh was like 15 feet away from me and saw me in the mirror. Like he didn't even look directly at me. He saw me in the mirror and was just like, I think Mike is dying. And like ran over and
Yeah.
helped me. But I was in that spot for probably a good 5 seconds before you realized it. And then it obviously took you like a little bit to get over and actually help me. So I was in that spot for like a pretty decent amount of time, and not a soul did a fucking thing about it except for
Yeah.
you. And you probably, no offense, you probably wouldn't have done anything about it if you didn't know me.
I don't know, honestly, because I've seen situations like that too, and it takes me a while to realize they need help. And I've done it one time, but I don't know, like it was also good timing too that I finished my set. Because what if I started my set again and I didn't, or I don't even know. I think I just finished my set and then that's when it happened. But like, what if I kept on doing my set, or I went to go do a drop set real quick? Like, you would have been stuck there for even longer. But when
Exact,
you
because
watch over that video, it's like you're stuck there for like forever.
yeah, and like especially if you like for example had just started your set, I don't know about you, but when I'm working out, like especially when I was doing the aesthetics training, I was staring at myself working out, bro. I was I was admiring every second of that glorious pump that I was getting. I was only focused on myself. I didn't give a fuck about anyone else around me. So it was the kind of
Mhm.
thing where if you had just started your set, I'm assuming you probably have a pretty similar mindset to that. So it was the kind of thing I would have just been dead. Like
Yeah.
R.I.P. Mike. We wouldn't be recording this episode right now.
But the good thing was that you were only doing like one, like 85, I think total. So like, it would take you a lot more to like pass out.
Yeah, no, it was enough weight where I feel like if I stayed there long enough in that spot, I would have been able to just like rest to the point where I could have just done one rep, but I would have been there for like a solid minute. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but that kind of goes along with, and now this is, unless you have anything other than that, this is the last point I want to make. Um, this is something I've seen both sides of, and I've been on both sides of. There's two categories that I would put this into. One, I would call ghost spotting, and two, I don't really know the word for it, but it's like unsolicited advice. So I am the kind of person, like I just mentioned, no one really cares what other people are doing in the gym. I know there's that joke out there where it's like guy trying to take a hint from a girl and he's like an idiot, and then the next slide is like a guy calculating the weight on another man's barbell, which is like it's very true. Like I'm observant to the point where I'm like I see what other people are doing. I know what people are doing, but I'm not like super like focused and like honed in. But at the same time, like I mentioned, I walk around a lot between sets, and so I'm constantly like looking around and stuff. I feel like I end up what I refer to as ghost spotting a lot, where someone, say for example, someone loaded up weight onto a bench press. They've done it for 4 reps, and I see this the reps are starting to slow down. I'll notice, like, if I notice that, I'm not going to start doing my exercise until I see that they get the next rep and they rack it. Because I've been in the scenario where I've failed a rep with no spotter. I know how scary it is. And, like, I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, it's scary. Like, I was, like, my life flashed before my eyes when that shit happened. But um, it's the kind of thing where there have been times where I've seen someone fail and I went over and helped and like racked the bar, and they were very grateful. They were like, "Oh, thank you, like for paying attention and not letting me die." Essentially, the other side of that, this is something I feel like is not as widely accepted, but is probably more common. Is unsolicited advice. Josh, do you have any experience with someone giving you unsolicited advice?
No, because I'm pretty much perfect all the time. So
Josh just gives
it's never
everybody
really
else
happened to me.
unsolicited advice. Go keto.
Yeah,
Fuck
pretty
carbs.
much, pretty much. That's pretty much what I do. But then everybody thanks me. They're like, "Oh, thank you so much for the advice,"
And
and they
then
start
they
tossing me
sign you as a
money.
coach and start paying you for that advice.
Hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, exactly. Uh, I think the only times it really happened to me is when I first started like lifting by myself. But besides that, it's happened a few times at our I don't want to name the person, but it's been happening at our gym and it's been happening to you. But I don't really mind that too because I would at least listen to them and then I'll determine if what they're saying is bullshit or valid because there's you can't really see yourself do the workout. Maybe yeah, if you look in the mirror, but if you're in a different angle, you can't really see how you're doing a certain workout. So sometimes it helps having a third person view your how you're doing a movement, and then if they actually give you a proper like adjustment, like hey, maybe move your feet this way, or okay, maybe put your elbows out further, then I would think it's valid. Or maybe give it a shot if it doesn't sound too crazy, see how it feels, and then that's a good way to validate their critique.
I agree with that. This is something. So again, I've been on both sides of this. I do remember. Oh, who was it? Oh, I remember. Do you remember LA Fitness? There was that kid who was clearly new. He wore those Vans every single day, and he would deadlift, and he just looked like a cat on the fence. Like that's how like rounded his back was.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
one day I went up
Oh
to
yeah,
him
yeah, 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 yeah. I
and
remember
I
this.
like tried to like give him advice of like, hey, like try pinching your shoulders back and like hinging your hips, and that should help you keep your back more straight. And I could tell like, yeah, he wasn't really listening to what I had to say. To take it long story short, he wasn't really listening. And I just remember looking back and like seeing him deadlift again, and he just didn't change anything, and he was still doing it
Hmm.
with a round back. And so,
Yeah.
like, to this day, I wonder about that kid. You know what I mean? I'm like, does this kid have scoliosis at this point? But there's also there was other scenarios like you remember the twin menaces who wore pajama pants,
Hmm.
the twin gingers.
I do.
Those were two kids who like I would never in a million years go up to them to try to give them unsolicited advice because I know for a fact there's just a 0% chance that they would ever listen to me. So why am I going to waste my time and my breath? On the other side of it, I've had it happen to me a couple times where I agree with you. I've gotten some really good advice in the gym that to this day I still incorporate into my workouts. Like I remember when I was very new in the gym, this guy spotted me on bench press and he gave me advice on my bench press to pinch my shoulders more and try to dig my shoulders like my rear delts into the bench more. And when I started doing that, I noticed a big difference in the stability of the movement and everything like that. So again, there's people out there who obviously know their shit and are willing to help if you ask for it. Like I asked this guy to spot me. I did the set and he gave me the advice after. What bothers me about this is I've had scenarios where and one was at this gym, one was at Gold's. I'm literally like physically doing my set and like these are two different guys. They grabbed my arms or like something like that and like tried to like guide me on the movement. And I'm like, "Yo, bro, like I don't know you like that for you to just grab my arms without me saying it's okay to do that." So again, there's a time and a place. If I'm paying you to be my coach, then yeah, I would expect that to happen. If I'm just a random gym goer who's doing a set that's apparently not up to your standard, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
again, it's like you said, like you can ask the person if they're receptive to it. If they say no, dude, just go about your day. If they say yes, give them the advice, and then hopefully that person can determine for themselves if it's something that they want to take into consideration. Like when it happened to me at Gold's, the reason I know that it happened all the time is because I know it's something that I've seen him do, but this guy was a fucking like IFBB pro. So I could tell he walked around the gym thinking, I'm sure he knows a lot. I have no doubt that he knows a lot, but he also has the mindset that he knows more than everyone else there. So he has some like obligation to step in and help. Like he's not Homelander. You know what I mean? Everybody is at a different point in their fitness journey. We don't need someone to kind of step in. There's a lot of things, in my opinion, and I know we've said this on the podcast before. There's a lot of things that you need to just figure out yourself, but there's a lot of things that it helps to have guidance for. So if you're that person that's giving unsolicited advice, make sure it's one of those things that falls into the category of something that's actually going to help. Like the example of me telling the kid to not deadlift with a rounded back. The reason I know that is because I used to deadlift with a rounded back and I hurt my back and I couldn't deadlift. With this other guy, it's like most people aren't going to want someone to just grab their arms mid set and try to guide them on a movement. So, again, it's all situational. There's always an exception to the rule, but that's one thing I wanted to make sure to toss some info out on. Anything else on that or anything else, Josh?
Nah, man. I think we covered everything, and I think we should wrap it up.
For sure.
Tie the
Always wrap
knot.
it up. This is now the second time we've talked about practicing safe sets. Um, but there is probably a lot more like just general etiquette that goes out there. Be a good person, be kind, be courteous, don't be a dick, essentially. That's not true just for the gym. That's true for everything in life. So, um, kind of take that as you will. But closing things out there, thanks as always for tuning in. As I'm sure you know, actually, one announcement. Um, we're going to be pulling back a little bit. Instead of every Thursday, we're going to be doing the podcast on a bi weekly basis. So every other Thursday. Um, and so it will still be on the same platforms and YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever it may be. Make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe, however you're listening or watching. We appreciate your support. As always, I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure to make those sweet gains. Keep living life unracked, baby. Let's go!
Like the video, baby.